No, I didn't. Yeah. Thank you all for your patience. We are finally back. Okay. Well, okay, I just need to pull up the agenda and share my screen and we'll get started. Oh, Julie. Oh. Ah.
No, I need to email that up result. Is that your secret?
Okay. Cool. Can you?
A lot of events with somebody, it's just, you know, taking- I do have the- to get the result.
All right, I'm gonna be calling this meeting of the General Assembly to order at 5:11 PM. All right, thank you all for being here. We have a really packed room, which I'm really excited for. I'm gonna go ahead and start with roll call. If you're here, just let me know if you're present. We have a long list as usual, so bear with me. Speaker Johnson,
Present.
Majority Leader Smith, Chairperson Smith, Chairperson Valdez. Sorry, guys, I'm not even clicking them, but that's fine. Chairperson Markowitz.
Present.
Thank you. Parliamentarian Lunger.
Present.
Legislator Ali. Legislator Arnold. Legislator Childs.
Present.
Legislator DeVore. Legislator Jazwicki. Legislator Duong. Legislator Iveza. Legislator Iveza Adrian. Legislator Mays. Legislator Mason.
Present.
Legislator Mullins. Legislator Christian Darrow. Legislator Smith, Mackenzie. Thank you. Legislator Waters. Legislator Williams. Oh, sorry, this is, they, just FYI, they're not a legislator any longer. Legislator Wolf. Legislator Wiegand. Legislator Rosario. Think that they are on a delayed flight. Are they here? No, okay, they're on a delayed flight. They are absent for today. Our FSL liaison Goichai. Pollinator and Conservation Organization liaison Moeller. Our Board of Trustees liaison Iriarte. Our Board of Trustees liaison Cobus. Athletics liaison Prisby. CETO liaison Markowitz. I know you're here. Delegate for
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Delegate for Entrepreneurs in Action, Matthews. Okay. Delegate for Costume and Cosplay Club, Ludwig. Delegate for the CMI, Shantae. Well, actually, her last name is Smith. I don't know why it says. Okay. Thank you all for bearing with. Hello.
I'm supposed to be.
Okay. Well, are you present?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, also the directors are supposed to be here too. I am so sorry, but we have.
That was supposed to be on there, yeah.
So Director Lehman Pace and for the record, Director Lehman Pace and Director Richardson are both here. All right, thank you so much. Going
Oh,
on.
I'm also here.
Okay, Director Skinner. Thank you, Director Skinner, Director Skinner is gonna be bringing us back a fossil because
Can I eat
is.
it, Director Skinner?
Yes, I can.
Okay, anyway, we're gonna move on. We don't have any new business. Are there any updates related to any caucuses? This is a time for any student organization to give any updates about their events, anything ongoing. Director,
Make sure.
Hey there, guys. What the representative for Sage, I wanted to bring up that the 20th annual OU Drag Show will be occurring later this month. I believe the 28th, whatever the Thursday is that week, which is not the 28th. I realize now, the 27th. But signups and auditions are this week. We will be doing the first block of auditions in the ambassador rooms from 12 to 1 this Thursday. And then Friday, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., we will have our second round of auditions. So if you're at all interested in performing, which you will make money, people tip very generously, feel free to sign up. Thanks.
Thank you for that update.
USC sponsored event. Forgot. to
An
say.
OUSC sponsored event, delegate. Advisor Miller.
Just to clarify, the date is Tuesday,
Oh,
March
Tuesday?
25th.
Oh, it's on my birthday.
Thank you so much for that clarification. All right, are there any updates? Are there any other updates for the group? Alrighty, I am going to go ahead and go into the updates related to OUSC leadership. I'm gonna start with my update as per the agenda. To give an update about Student Congress as a whole, you know, we just got over our spring break, but I know that a lot of us are gonna be working on filling dispensers because we got our shipment of pads into the office. I know that there are a couple of events being planned here and there. I know that we are looking at drag show funding as one of our initiatives. I know that there was a student concerns initiative being worked on as well. And the directors, as far as on the director's side, I know that Director Skinner is working on sustainability, well, Earth Month events. Director Richardson is working on elections as elections chair. So I think that we're all keeping pretty busy, especially with that bill writing. So I will now pass it on to VP Brummer to get some updates about campus events.
Okay, I will keep it pretty brief. First one that I have is a Translate Your Experience group coaching event. This is hosted by the Career and Life Design Center. It'll be on the 4th at noon in the Stinson Center. SPB is also having a Mardi Gras roller rink, which is also on the 4th at 6 p.m. in the banquet rooms. Also, the Future Leader Dog Club will be having a puppy raiser Q&A session on the 5th at 5 p.m. in the Laidlaw room. So check that out if you're interested. Just to reiterate what Director Lehman Pace mentioned about drag show auditions, they will be on the 6th at noon in Ambassador Room A, hosted by Sage and co-sponsored by OUSC. And then also there is a blood drive that will be happening on the 6th at 11 a.m. here in the OC. This is hosted by the American Red Cross Club.
Thank you so much for that update, VP Brummer. I will now hand it over to Speaker Johnson if you have any updates regarding the legislature.
How we doing, everybody? Not a whole lot from me as far as any updates from the
Oh,
legislature.
we can't hear you. Hold up.
Oh, Lord.
Let's fix it really quick before you keep on going. Could it be speakers?
Would you like me to keep talking until you can verify that you hear me?
Can you try speakers? Yeah. Try again, Marcus, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I was saying there's not a whole lot from me as far as what the legislature's up to. If you stick around for our GBM, you'll see all the fun things we get to discuss today. But we did just get back from break, which I hope was restful for everybody. And I'm excited for us to get on trucking with the work we've got so far. With that, I will yield the floor.
Thank you so much. Our next update is from Peter Matthews regarding the state of beef.
We've been approving budget requests and waivers and working on other stuff
for the board and the future betterment and implementation.
Thank you so much. And I think that concludes. Next, are there any announcements at all? Do not see any announcements, so I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting of the General Assembly at 5:20 PM. And I will hand it over to VP Brummer for our general body meeting. Thank you.
Alrighty, everyone, bear with me for just a moment. I want to make sure we have the audio properly set up so that we can hear everyone online. Can I get somebody online to say something quickly?
Mueller.
Okay, for the sake of time.
Just to the left.
Marcus, can I get you to say something one more time?
Do you read me, Houston?
Maybe it's the on.
We can't hear it at all.
Hello?
Mueller.
No, do speakers.
I know that has to be on. Can I get one more test?
Mueller.
Do speakers.
Okay.
Okay, it works now.
We will just live with the laptop audio for today, for the sake of moving on, because we have a lot on our agenda. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5:22 PM. First up on the agenda, we have roll call. Please let me know if you are present or present in voting. All right, Speaker Johnson,
Present.
Majority Leader Smith. Chairperson Smith. Chairperson Valdez. Chairperson Markowitz. Parliamentarian Munger.
Present.
Legislator Ali. Legislator Arnold. Legislator Childs. Legislator Childs.
Present.
Thank you. Legislator DeVore. Legislator Drizwicki. Legislator Duong. Legislator Iveza. Legislator Iveza. Legislator Mays. Legislator Mason.
Present.
Legislator Mullins. Legislator Prishandaro. Legislator Rosario. Not here. Legislator Smith. Legislator Waters. Legislator Wiegand. Legislator Wolf. Legislator Wolf. Legislator Smith. Alrighty, with that, we meet quorum. All right, next up on the agenda is our land acknowledgement. We recognize the wrongs done to those forcibly removed from their homelands and commit to fostering an environment of inclusion that is responsive to the needs of First Peoples through our words, policies, and actions. Next up on the agenda, we have the approval of agenda. Is there any motions to amend the agenda at this time? Legislator Joswicki.
Motion to move up, CB 67.6. Yeah,
And 24.
and 24.
24. Sorry.
Is there a second?
Okay.
By Chairperson Smith. Legislator DeBoer.
Motion to take comments from the gallery prior to new business.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Legislator Wolf. Are there any other motions to amend the agenda at this time? Prior to new business. Alrighty, seeing as there are no other motions to amend the agenda at this time, we will go ahead and move to a voice vote. Is there any nays at this time? Any yays?
Yay.
Alright, with that, the agenda has been approved. Next up on the agenda, we have announcements. Is there any announcements anyone would like to make for the good of the group at this time?
Jeez. I thought you were adding.
Seeing as there are no announcements at this time, we will go ahead and move on to new business.
Is 24 above or below? Above.
Above. If you go down to 22 there where it's still in the ABC, if you go to the start of the line, hit enter, it'll just enter that as a new bullet and you can paste it in and it'll fix it. There we go.
And then can we also get comments from the gallery added before new business, please? All right, is there any comments from the gallery at this time?
Hi, my name is Kayla Snow. This is directed to Mia Matthews. For starters, we mentioned on the OUSC President's SAFB Discord that 1% of SAFB allocations will be going to club sports. Can you expand on what that allocation will be going to explicitly?
That would be a question for club sports too.
Yeah, that'll be a club sports, not as
Or, excuse me, you said that it was going just away from SAFB and that it would be impacting student orgs. Can you expand on how that would be impacted?
Yeah.
Chairperson Matthews?
So basically what that kind of means is every year we get a certain amount of allocation for student funding. And within, I believe, every year since COVID, we have used more allocation that we have received. And so possibly if that 1% is taken away from us, that would mean that the allocation that we give clubs for each semester would have to possibly be decreased.
I see. Then following up on that, with this being a routine donation to club sports, why was it presented to students in a way that elicited panic and concern? I mean, I can't speak for every club, but I can speak for mine when I say that a reduction of funds would tank us.
President Garcia?
So this would be a reallocation of funds are distributed. This will go through a student body vote. Right now, the legislature is gonna be voting on it, but it will be of something that has not been, this is not confirmed yet, and it still has to go through the student body and the board of trustees first before it's confirmed.
Chairperson Matthews?
I guess I'm confused on the question with expanding, because it's not a donation, it would be a permanent reallocation. So I guess I don't.
In your words, you said you've done this every year since COVID, reallocated this 1% of funds.
No. So I guess you kind of misunderstood what I said previously. So in the allocations we have received, through the SAF, we have spent, that we have allocated for every student. And so with that 1% being taken away from us, we would have to possibly lower the amount that is allocated for each budget for student.
I just wanted to clarify in terms of the percentage. Each of the SACAC organizations receives a certain percentage that was voted on by a referendum many years ago. And that this part of the percentage that SAFB has is 26%. It will be lowered to 25%.
No, 27.
Or 27, I'm sorry, it will be lowered to 26%. So each student each SACAC organization has a percentage that is associated with them. And the SACAC organizations voted on as a group in terms of having this 1% come from SAFB to cover club sport, going directly to all of us.
I also just wanted to add, as a point of information, the way the funding pool works is each student pays a student activity fee of $27.50 out of their tuition every semester. So the amount of money that goes to SACAC fluctuates based on the number of attendees of it. And then the percentages divide up how that money is distributed. I'm gonna go around and do some responses and then I will come back. Director Lemon-Pace?
I just want to say, I know there's been a lot of acronyms right now, so I'm just going to do a quick crash course into what they mean. SAFB, as you all know, Student Activities Funding Board, they fund the clubs. SPB, Student Program Board, they run a lot of the events you see around campus. SAFAC, the Student Activities Fund Assessment Committee, that makes up of the Post, the radio station, the Student Life Lecture Board, who brings like someone to speak on campus every year, Student Congress, Student Activities Funding Board, the Student Program Board, Student Video Productions. Am I missing anyone? Is that it? All 7? Basically, it's just the groups on campus that have set aside to get the student allocation fee, which is like $25 of your tuition goes towards this fund, and it gets paid out to all of those student groups, just so you all understand how this goes. Each group gets divvied up a certain percentage. Currently, Student Program Board gets 27% of that pot. Student Activities Funding Board gets 7% of that pot. 27, not 7. Club Sports gets what, 5 currently? 6 currently. Student Congress gets 13 or 18.
I think it's 15.
Oh, I split the difference. It's 15. And each of them gets a chunk. Pretty much, and that's what we're talking about right now, is trying to divide up how much that $27.50 that all of you have paid to pay our paychecks
all the SAFAC pay checks and what they do. So yeah, SAFAC is the governing body of all of those groups. SAF is $27.50. SPB, SAFB, hopefully this helped a little bit so you know what's being referred to. Thank you.
President Garcia.
I just want to remind everyone that with the comments for the gallery, we will have an opportunity to discuss this with our members. But if we could prioritize club members, Gio, you're also a gallery member, so you're free to speak on this too. But I just want to remind everyone that we will have an opportunity to discuss this. But thank you so much for the clarification.
It was
No, you're completely fine. Yeah, exactly. No, thank you for that clarification.
I'm a gallery member now, but I was a city chairperson by around the time that this was decided, and it was voted by the SAFAC organizations, but I need to say that SAFB did not give up the 1% willingly. It was basically voted upon without our consent to give it up. So I just needed to throw that out there and make it known before any further discussion about it is done.
Legislator Hall.
I recognize that this is a very sensitive issue and I sympathize with all the orgs that are concerned. But I remain highly optimistic in this series bill that we'll be discussing today and in coming weeks. Financial health of student orgs is an evergreen effort that I think that we're all here to resolve. And a key point of information is we're attempting to raise the student life allocation from I think $27.50 to $40, which will seem like a massive increase. But from when it was set at $27.50, this will basically amend it to have as if it had pace with inflation. And this will overall vastly increase the amount of money allocated to all student orgs and all the business organizations like SAFB and Student Congress. So although there will be a percentage decrease within SAFB, I'm confident that there'll be an overall real dollar increase in their amount of funding. And I hope that I can that Student Congress can continue to gain better financial solvency for all the orgs involved.
Thank you. And then just going based off of that, Gio, you mentioned that this was not a willing give up. So I asked, has there been an alternative source explored beyond just raising that fund to $40? Following up on that, what preventatives are in place for that $40 allocation not to just get passed back to students in the form of $40 increase to tuition?
Wait, sorry.
Point of order. Are we allowed to just address members of the gallery
Oh,
specifically for questions? Okay. No, I meant for a member of the gallery to ask a question to another member of the gallery. Is that? That's true. Is that, are we willing to? Okay.
Could you repeat that last part though, because I didn't even get it.
Apologies. So what preventatives are going in place to make sure that currently it's $27.90? What's going to stop tuition just increasing $40 to make that?
I see.
Yes, you answer. No, I mean, I just because I think you're misunderstanding something. First of all, so it's already at 27. So we're increasing it to 40, so that means it won't be increased $40. It would just be increased to cover the difference.
Increased to $40.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and like I said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know the logistics of it. It won't increase the whole $40. This 27 is already coming out of everyone's tuitions. And this is just a little bit of an increase over the tuition's already increasing, so that's already on that. I think one of the bills touches upon this, so I don't know if keep discussing this right now or wait until the bill is read. But yeah, there was another discussion.
I know, Gio, I am only targeting you because you're the one who said it.
Can you get her the
that it was
mic
not a
for those
willing-
online?
Leo, I'm only asking you directly because you're the one who said it.
Yeah.
You mentioned that this was not willfully given up.
Yeah.
Has there been an alternative source explored to get this 1% of funding?
I mean, at the SAPAC meetings, we were discussing a whole bunch, but we couldn't really get to anything. So by that last meeting, what happened is someone brought that up, that as they should all vote for SAP to move the 1% regardless. So that's basically what happened. But the alternatives off the top of my head, I cannot think of any.
Director Lewis.
I will say the state limits how much tuition can we raise. Usually it's about 4.5%, 5%, something in the ballpark. And we pretty much raise it to that limit every time. Tuition will be raised no matter what. No one would really notice the 40. Thank you.
Chairperson Smith.
Yeah, I was pretty much gonna say the same thing Director Limon said, but I would also like to add that the university does raise tuition past that legally allowed limit, but the profits beyond you know, raising it beyond that limit is more than the fee that they have to pay for doing that. So I just want to say they're going to raise it anyway, with that idea.
Just in the interest of time, I have a whole other questions. Apologies, I'm going to move past this. Just a quick question, is the ledger available for public viewing upon request? I've heard a couple different answers, and I was just hoping to get some clarification on that.
Director Richardson, would you like to?
What ledger?
Yeah.
I'm about to say that's not my
Oh.
What ledger?
Specifically for up-to-date purchase history from student members.
President Garcia.
Yes, it has always been available.
It's online. Speaker Johnson, did you still have your hand raised? I apologize. I saw that a second ago.
Yeah, you're good, you're good. So I just wanted to offer to the group that the Research and Review Committee has done a lot of research into the student activity fee, its applicability across the state, and I've even gone on an addendum, written an addendum as to what not student congress, the SAFAC groups advocating for that raise to $40 would look like. I'm more than happy to make those available to anybody who wants them. If you just let President Garcia or Vice President Brummer know, I'm more than happy to shoot that over to them so they can get it to you. But I'm hoping it'll help clarify what the student activity fee is, how it's collected, and where Oakland University ranks in terms of schools across Michigan as far as how that's applied. With that, I shall yield the floor.
Rose has a motion. It's a motion. It's fine. We're gonna run it out.
Yeah.
I was gonna stop some.
I just want to say, as our attendant, to end this section on the new business.
Second by Legislator Wolf. All right. Next up, we will go ahead and move on to new business.
As soon as she starts reading it.
Yeah. First up under new business, we have CB 6723. This is presented by President Garcia. You have the floor.
We are talking about the same exact thing we were just talking about. Also, for any gallery members who still have something to say, there'll be a comments for the gallery section at the end of this meeting. So stick around for that if you still have anything more to say. But with regards to this whole process of changing the allocations, right now we are in the point of the process where SAPAC has approved 3 proposals, and now it's up to the legislature to see if this goes any further. If the legislature approves it, then it can go through the student body vote. But thank you so much, Director Lehman Pace. He just left right now. But he already explained what SAFAC is. I think everyone in this room knows what SAFAC is, but if you don't, please raise your hand right now. Give a really brief explanation. But the last meeting that we had, we voted on 3 different, can you stay up to the whereas, please? We voted on 3 different proposals. So Club Sports has been coming to SAFAC meetings year after year, asking for money because a lot of them are in, almost, a lot of these students who are in club sports are having to pay absurd amounts of money out of pocket. And it's getting to the point where it's almost like cruel to have them coming to our meetings again every single year, crying to us about how they can't afford to play the sport that they want to play at OU. So, in this last meeting, we voted on the very last proposal. If you could scroll down. I'm gonna go from proposal to proposal. So the very first one was to raise the student activity fee from $27.50 to $40. This is something that we met with VP Mackey about, who's the VP of Finance. He, obviously is pretty close with the Board of Trustees. They work together, and he was in support of this. So that gives us a really good outlook, and that this could be approved by the Board of Trustees. So I'm optimistic about that proposal passing. The second thing that we voted on, the second thing that we voted on was to decrease the special projects fund from 1% to 0% and increase the club sports percentage from 6 to 7. So that's 1% going to club sports. We also voted on reallocating, because even if you reallocate that 1%, you still have that money left in the account balance of the special projects fund. So we just voted to allocate that remaining amount of money to club sports. And then finally, the third one was to decrease the allocation of student activities funding board from 27 to 26%, and then put that 1% towards club sports. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I think a lot of us were here last year when the president of SPB was here, and there was a whole back and forth discussion about why SPB should give up 1%. And although I do see that a lot of those points were very compelling to me, I'm going to be completely honest with you. No one in SAFAC would have voted to decrease SPB's percent. It would have never passed. It would have, with all the presidents that were there, I think maybe 2 or 3 organizations might have voted in favor of it. But to decrease SPB's percent, it would have never passed. The only viable thing that could have passed SAFAC was to lower SAF fees percent by 1. Do I regret the way that it happened? Yes, 100%. But I think that it was the only viable outcome. And if we were going to have, when I ran as president, a big thing about my platform and my mission for this administration was to get club sports their 2% that they have been begging for the past, I think 4 years or more. These students are in dire need of funds. They can't afford to be paying thousands of dollars to play a sport. And if we're here to represent students, I think it's really important that we listen to those voices. And if we see that there is an organization who can financially take on a decrease in 1%, because I do want to remind people that 1% is, I did the math, and obviously it changes year to year because that 1% is dependent on enrollment. But when I did the math yesterday, it was around $4,000. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be it's definitely not going to, I think, affect club sports in the way that many people are thinking. They're not going to affect student orgs in the way that they're thinking. And also, if we do get that $40 student activity fee, I think SAP might end up having more money than it usually gets. So overall, I think this is, if we look at big picture and we look at the good of the whole student body as a whole, and I think that this is the way to go, and it's really the only viable path towards this outcome. And yeah, I really plead with you guys to think about the students and the student body and the needs that they have. Any questions?
Got it. Chairperson Rickles?
So I apologize, this will probably be quite a bit. This is not a question, but this is more of a comment to elaborate on that. So as somebody who's in both student orgs and club sports, I think I can kind of talk from both perspectives. Obviously, I love my student orgs. I want them to be fully funded. So please don't get this the wrong way. But currently, the way the SAP funding works is so you get $4,000. That changes depending on the year, depending on exactly what student enrollment looks like. But currently, it's $4,000. It's split up into different categories that you can use it for. Sometimes you can shift around those categories, but you get a max of $4,000. You also get an additional $2,000 that's available for you for special projects funds. There's a process that goes through that. It's not just automatically your money, but it is available if you need it. And then also you get $2,000 for summer funding. That's for student orgs. For club sports, we don't get summer funding. That's just not a thing. And on top of that, club sports have doubled in the last 10 years. And our percentage of SAPAC funding has stayed the exact same. And so club sports routinely has a budget that is half of what's requested. And so, for example, last year, or literally every year, club sports gets about $25K per semester. And club sports request about $50,000. And so obviously we're getting like half of what we requested. And so in 2022, for example, SAFB funding was less at that point. You could even say it was significantly less. It was $3,500 per semester, plus the special project funding, plus $1,000 for summer funding. That is way more of a difference from 2022 to now than it will be, assuming that for some reason administration didn't pass that increase in the student activity fee. On top of that, I think it's also really important to understand what it looks like in a club sport. We have so many more requirements because club sports has so little money to give that they're like, all right, well, we have to make it crazy competitive for this money. So that way, at least we can distinguish between some clubs. And so in hockey, for example, which is one of the clubs I'm in, we're in the top tier, which means that we get up to $5,000 a semester. I have never gotten $5,000 in a semester. We got $3,800, which was the most we've gotten in so long, but we never get $5,000. And almost no clubs ever get their maximum allocation. On top of that, we have to complete 10 fundraising events throughout the academic year and raise $10,000 in profit. We also must complete a minimum of 100 hours of community service and attend at least one other club sports contest per year. That is a lot. On top of that, the hockey budget is about $75K usually. When we were better, it would be up to $125K. So last year, or I guess this year, we paid $4,000 per player. So when they say that people are paying thousands of dollars, that's not just a number thrown out there. I paid actually $4,150 because we needed another $150 at the end of the year. And so one thing on top of that, hockey is an expensive sport. I understand that. But it's also important to see how OU benefits from club sports like hockey. And so what I did is I surveyed my entire team and found out who came here specifically for hockey and who was already coming here. So that way I could have a better idea of like exactly how much money the hockey team is actually bringing in that the university wouldn't be generating otherwise. And that money is in the hundreds of thousands over the course of 4 years. If you want to say before scholarships, that number is 1.36 million. It's a lot of money. Thank you, I yield.
I am. We're at 5:45, so we probably will have to question doing that.
As someone who came to OU as attracted by it being an academically centered school, we don't have even participate in like the whole like football culture and all of that, that's really attractive to me. I've never seen a World Cup or a Super Bowl. Athletics really does not interest me, but is something that cannot be argued that sports, boost people's confidence, improves people's mental and physical health, and that student athletes are students, and that student athletic clubs and club sports are student boards. And I think that, that they, deserve funding, and, this funding in fact will help disadvantaged students, especially disadvantaged financially, to involve themselves in sports that lots of, students of color or students who come from impoverished backgrounds never get the opportunity to involve themselves in sports, and something that I think this is something that can help, students like that out. And I do indeed, sports are for me, but I can see countless studies show that sports can help people's mental and physical health, and I think that's something that is worth it here in Texas.
Chairperson Smith?
Thank you, thank you. I just wanted to start with the fact that if we don't pass this next week, I think that's a very cruel towards club sports, just in general. And I also just wanted to add, because I know there was a lot of concern prior to this meeting regarding SAFB's allocation lowering and how that affects the finances of clubs and, you know, all of that. And I wanted to say I did a fair amount of math last night, and someone please do correct me after this meeting if I'm wrong. I'm a political science major for a reason. I don't do math very well. But with the passage of this bill and everything within this bill going into effect, and everything going to club sports and the allocation for SAFB going down, SAFB would still make a profit of 3% compared to this year. There should be no issue. With that, I yield.
Speaker Johnson?
Hello. So something I will say that I shared with President Garcia is that,
Oh, please proceed.
you can't hear me?
Go ahead. You're good.
Oh, sorry. No, something I share with President Garcia, especially having been in Congress last year and seeing how the last time we tried to get club sports some money and how it didn't work out. I own my part on that part because I tabled the bill personally. I think, and I know I went into this year saying that I think it's in the best interest for us to get club sports the most amount of money we're able to as soon as we possibly can. Because I will also echo what Chairperson Smith said, that it would be cruel of us to tell them, sorry, better luck next time, again, after the multitudes of times they've come to us and told us, hey, we need more money. Like, it's getting pretty bad. And I think if Congress is going to operate the way it should, then it's incumbent on us to be responsive to the needs of students. And to deny this again would almost be a dereliction of duty in certain senses, but that's more of a me thing than a general thing. So I wanted to leave the floor with that. And I won't say you're wrong on your numbers, Chairperson Smith, because I gotta go look at the ones I found and do a little recalculations, but I'm pretty sure you're not far off. So if everything in this bill were to go into effect as it's written, would SAFB get a decrease in allocation? Yes, as far as percentage goes. Would all groups still receive an increase in the amount that allocation is as far as direct monetary value? Also, yes. So it's sort of like one thing offsets the other from the perspective I've been given. But as Chairperson Smith said, please correct me if I am wrong, because I never like to believe I'm always right. With that, I will yield the floor.
We do have 45 seconds left, so if anyone wants to motion for more time, now would be the time. Well, I didn't make a motion.
Motion from legislator Wolf, is there a second to extend the discussion?
Seconded.
Seconded by. 5 minutes?
2 minutes.
But I feel like 5 minutes would be, because we can do a maximum of, yeah, to be fair, Lance did take up 5.
Okay, so legislator Wolf put forward a motion to extend the discussion time by 5
I think
minutes.
that was a bad.
Is there a second for extending it by 5 minutes? Seconded by legislator DeWolf. Director Layman, please.
Just super quick, sorry, I need to restart the timer. I'm torn on this resolution. I love the first 2 bullet points. However, I think the real villain in this case is SPV. Last year, we hit them fairly on them not spending enough of their allocation. This year, they're basically just yelling, bring out the whole ocean. You know, they gave away 2 bridges. They're going on multiple trips. They're giving away far more than they ever have because we were like, hey, you're not spending your full allocation. You should probably give up 1% to keep the current equal funding levels that SPB and SAFB have. I'm not downplaying the importance of SPB on this campus, but frankly, I think that their greed has rotted them right to the core, and the leadership of Matt Murray has been a lightning rod for that. I think that we need to make sure that SAFB keeps their percentage to try and engage in negotiations in the future. I want club sports to get more funding. I think the first 2 bullet points on this resolution are fantastic. Frankly, I would have liked to have seen the student activity fee go up more, but I understand that that's not super feasible. Any raise is better than none. But I think that SAFB is open to what originally they wanted to give away theirs if SPB also gave away 1%. To keep that funding parity, to make sure that the 2 of the most important orgs on this campus kept the same equitable funding levels. And I would like to, maybe with more sympathetic eyes than the stubborn, conservative, and frankly, kind of greedy Matt Murray's leadership, I would like to see a more peaceful talks next time. And I would like to maybe, if we could amend to strike clause 3 or put it in a separate bill, because I don't want, clause 3 is clearly getting the most contention here and not clauses 1 and 2. So if we can ensure that at least clauses 1 and 2 are passed, even if we're disagreeing on 3, that would be fantastic. Thank you, Rachel.
I will say that, I'm right there with you. I would have preferred SVB to give 1%. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, but I'm gonna be so realistic though.
Oh, yeah.
Cause we're, you know, as much as like our opinions might be strong about this, we all are passionate about this. It's not realistic to think that a percentage from SPB would ever happen. It's not gonna happen. And I think that if we wanna give, you know, club sports would want even more than 2%.
Oh,
They probably would want 3 or 4%. So 2% is already a very low minimum amount. And I don't think we should, I think we should keep strong with this 2% to be able to get club sports the funding that they need. Because again, the SPB percent it's frankly just never gonna happen.
The original proposal from club sports when they came to SAFAC asking for money was a 3% increase. Legislator Kushner.
I have several clarifying questions. The percent that's being discussed in this bill, what is the total pool of funding what is that called?
The student activity fee.
Thank you. Okay, so just to clarify, so the total student activity fee funding pool is being increased by 45%, according to the math I just did.
No. It's basically how the student activity fee works is that there's $27.50 coming from every single student, and then it's all pooled into one. So instead of getting each from each student $27.50,
Yes.
they would just be getting.
So that increase itself is very large. That's
Yes.
35% increase.
Yes.
So the club sports funding is, I mean, it's going up by that section, and then also the 2% of the total funding. I guess going on from how much of a difference does it make? Because I agree with Director Lehman Pace that it doesn't seem fair to the student activity, the SFB, to take away that 1% from them unwillingly. Is the 45%, more than 45% increase from the first two clauses of this bill, is that sufficient to the club sorts of thing?
I don't know if it's gonna be sufficient because there's so many club sports, and so many students, like it's always increasing every single year. I guess we would have to do a lot of math to figure out if that's sufficient. Yeah, the best I could do is I don't know.
I will also add, that Speaker Johnson has numbers on what the increase in funding would look like based off enrollment from the fall in terms of the SAF increase from $27.50 to $40.
Speaker Johnson, if you could present that at the next meeting, that would be great.
I do have
Absolutely. I should ask before I do so, are you wanting me to present it with SAF allocations where they currently are? Or what the proposed allocations would look like as well? I can do both. It just requires me to make another table.
We are over time.
Wonderful. I'll have that ready for the next meeting.
I'd like the motion for another extension of 10 minutes, just so we don't have to keep doing like 3 and 4 and 5 minutes. Second.
Seconded by Chairperson Smith.
I do also have the numbers handy as a point of information.
Speaker Johnson or Director Linda Pace, whatever's easier, if you could share out the increase that would look like for the staff ag organizations.
Thank you. So currently, according to OU's website, for fall 2024, we had 15,768 students enrolled. Multiplied by 27.5, that's $434,000 is the total SAF pot, roughly. Divided up, that means that club sports would get 26,000 roughly, with the current allocation. If enrollment stays the same and the allocation goes up, they'll get almost 38. So it's a pretty significant increase just from the student activity fee going up.
Would you like, from my perspective, I'm sorry I didn't seek recognition. I know I'm violating the rules.
No, go ahead, Speaker Johnson.
If you'd like, I can go into detail as to what that looks like per organization, or I can just give you what that projected increase number would be from where they currently receive an allocation to what that would be based on current levels if nothing were to change.
Sake of time, is this something that we could propose at the next reading for this bill?
Perfect. I will gladly put that together.
Just the numbers specifically?
Oh, I did the math.
Chairperson Markowitz.
So I just also wanted to provide some context, since we have a lot of legislators that were here for last year's conversation. So essentially what happened is Matt, the president of SPB, came up here and was completely grilled for like 40 minutes. And I will acknowledge that I am last year I was completely on the side of that FPB should give them the percentage. Obviously, I would have loved to see club sports get that 3% increase. And if Matt called me now and said I'm ready to do it, I would be thrilled. But I've talked to him many, many times about this, privately and also at the meeting. And it's very clear that that's not going to happen. And so I made this exact same argument last year. I said, guys, please, can we not make club sports wait another year because we're convinced that they're going to get more money in the future. And sure enough, when we tabled it, nothing happened. And club sports did not get any more money. And so while I do understand the fairness argument, I think that as a legislature, we have to get over that if they're not going to budge, you can disagree all you want. Obviously, we don't all vote in favor of every single bill. So please keep that in mind. Please support this bill. I will show my mouth.
Yes.
Legislator Ivesa.
I would like to counter the motion to extend the discussion.
Vote on it then.
Okay.
Oh. We still have 650 on the previous extension.
I did just text you this because you were asking me.
Just do a voice vote.
I was gonna say, because we already approved the extension, the counter it can't happen because we already approved the extension. We'd have to wait for another motion and then that motion would have to get countered before we like second and approve it.
Legislator Eveza, was just like a suggestion, why don't you just, motion to table?
Well, it would be a motion to end debate.
Sure, end debate, thank you.
You did want to go.
Chairperson Matthews.
Yes, hi. Oh, okay. Just before like we wrap up this kind of discussion, I just want to say. It's okay, you. Hello. So I just wanted to mention that last time this was up, we tabled it and it sucked that it didn't go through. But the fact that the only difference between last time's bill and this time's bill is our name on it is incredibly two-faced. And it is almost ridiculous because the SAFB strives to make student organizations put on events for other students, and SPB and organizations like it, they put on events for students, but they don't have, they are able to put on these events because they have this egregious amount of money towards one event. And if we were able to put that much money in our club, we'd be able to make just as good events as SPB, but because we have to put it between almost 300 clubs, that's why people like SPB form. Club sports has a lot of clubs, and it is very unfortunate that they do not have a lot of money. But unlike SPB, we are club organizations too.
Thank you so much for your comment,
Point of
Hallie, but I do want to say that this is, gallery members can't be talking. during the-
Yeah,
Yes,
Nia
yes,
yielded to. Also, point of information. Would this be 3 separate proposals on the ballot, or would this be like, you check yes and no for all 3 at once? I figured you would. Gotcha,
But you might need some time to think about it.
that's cool.
I will need some time to think about it, just because I want to read the bill one more time before I make that decision.
I thought that would be
I'm
helpful.
just gonna jump to it, but.
One thing that you all have to keep in mind is this has to be approved by the legislators. But the other piece of it is it takes 2 readings. You have to also think about this when elections are taking place. And you have enough time to create this as a referendum or referendums to the student body. You also have to give the opportunity for you and or club sports or student boards, the opportunities to campaign one way or the other for the referendum that needed to be ultimately voted on by the student body of whether they want to approve this or not. But that's what happened last year. This was brought up on a Friday and elections were on a Monday. Gave no opportunity to even put it into referendum form and no opportunity for campaigning one way or the other. So we hope that especially the election commissioner can keep this in mind in terms of the timing of this, if this is going to happen and get this on the referendum by the time you need it. So please keep that in mind, all of you as legislators, because you are important. You are the next step of whether this is even going to be a referendum to the student body. And the student body ultimately, just like they did the last referendum, and why the percentages are the way they are, this is ultimately the student body's decision.
Thank you so much, Advisor Miller. I do want to provide some clarity. The way that, so I talked about this with elections chair. All of any ballot proposal must be approved by the legislature before kickoff, so it can be ready for kickoff, so that the entire student body has time to campaign on things. So, as long as, these bills are passed on next week, we have our second reading and our vote next week. It's gonna work out, it's gonna be right before kickoff on Wednesday.
Legislator Iweza. Motion to end debate.
Seconded
Second.
by legislator Wolf.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Next up on the agenda, we have CB 6726. This is presented by Chairperson Matthews. Chairperson Matthews, you have the floor. I don't think the mic
mic's
is
on.
on.
So this is something that our group has kind of been discussing for now the past couple of months. And ultimately, we have come to the conclusion that SAP would like to be separate from this. In this bill, it kind of explains the reasoning as to why. First of all, we have different budgets. We have our own SACAC standing. We have a separate advisor, and ultimately, we have separate board expectations, hiring processes, mission, and honestly, we have like separate like bylaws from you guys. And so I think it's like more than time for us to kind of separate from you guys. So this bill is to make us not a committee member or a committee in the Constitution of this.
All right, is there any questions or discussion? President Garcia.
All right, so a lot of you guys know what SAFB is. They distribute funds to student organizations. I think this is the process of deciding which student orgs get funds and which don't can be pretty vulnerable to biases and skewedness. And so separation for the sake of conveniency or efficiency is just not a good argument to me, because accountability cannot be sacrificed. I just think this is inherently a bad idea. I think that having checks and balances and accountability for the legislature and oversight is really important. You can't even, I say that you can't sacrifice efficiency for accountability, but regardless, like, we don't interfere with their day-to-day operations. I'm sorry, let me finish, thank you. We don't interfere with their day-to-day operations. We approve their members and we approve their bylaws because we have meetings every Monday, so it can make it easy for those things to go through. But regardless, I don't think that we should cut out a body of elected students to provide oversight for SAFB.
Chairperson Marcus.
I was just gonna say, so I did quite a bit of digging into this bill and did a lot of thinking on it. And I am in supportive of this. I think that when we approve people for SAFB, I think a lot of us do it without really knowing anything about SAFB. And so because of that, that is my pushback on the argument that it's providing checks and balances. I think, and I know I've talked to people on OUC about this, but I think it's very relatively easy for like any student org, us to be corrupted, like it happens. So, I think that it is hard to completely avoid it. And, obviously if for some reason there was a case where SAFB was breaking rules or something, like it's not like it would prevent us from, if student orgs were coming to us in like our Gen Assembly and saying, hey, like this is what they're doing, like this isn't okay, for us to lobby in their favor and help still make changes. With that, I go.
Legislator Waters.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I agree with President Garcia. I also don't really feel that this is super necessary. I mean, we don't really interfere that much with, your day-to-day operations. We've, and all that, I also do, I feel the checks and balances argument, like, I feel that that is important, that we do that. FASB has at least some, like, is overseen by someone. And, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so when you talk about checks and balances, like, I just wanted to know, what do you think those checks and balances are? And like, are you talking about like, for like, who's a member, bylaws, or are you talking about like, what we do in our day to day?
I would say mostly approval of members' bylaws and like just keeping somewhat of an eye. I'm not saying that we need to like hover over you like Big Brother.
Yeah.
But
So I guess I would say to that, like, if you're talking about members and bylaws, I would say also, like, just kind of echoing what Lance said, you guys, we put these members up for approval. You guys don't know them, you guys never met them. We can what we said, so it kind of feels like an extra step as a formality. And I don't really think that's necessary. And I also would say that it doesn't seem, when you say it doesn't seem necessary, that's from the business point of view, but every member in SAB has agreed that it is necessary for us.
could you explain that reasoning? Just a little
Yeah,
curious.
so, you guys said that just as you guys kind of said, you guys want to see we want to oversee our own hiring, we want to oversee our own bylaws, our own transition, and that is possibly the main reason. And I also think that, you know, we have so many differences with our organizations, and there is so much like disconnect that doesn't even really make sense for us to be a part of you guys' community.
Okay, thank you for your input. With that, I yield the floor.
President Garcia.
With the argument about legislators not being like educated enough about SAB to make a proper decision, I don't think that the solution for that is just to cut us off entirely. I think like if you compare that to like, let's say like the United States elections and we say, oh well, like the citizens aren't really like they don't really know a lot about politics, we should probably take away their right to vote. Like I think the solution to that is like maybe civic education. Educating, focusing on the education of our nation. So similarly for student congress, obviously we're a lot smaller, a whole lot smaller, but we can work on solutions to making sure that legislators are more informed about how SAFB functions. And I also do know that a lot of us do know a whole lot about SAFB as well, because a lot of us are student club treasurers, presidents. We are pretty familiar with the process. And we also know about the people that you put up as well too. Like a lot of times we know the people from, that you put up for approval. And sometimes when we, like, to give an example of that, how we're not just doing this passively. If you guys remember when we were approving a judiciary committee member, like Fover, the legislator DeVore, like you guys voted against that because you thought that there was gonna be biases. So I don't think that we should just count legislators as some like passive people who are stupid and who won't know or just don't care enough. Like they care and they're informed, and if we need to inform them more, then we can definitely do that.
I would also push back against the point that we are ill-informed on the on helping vote on the board members, considering the process is identical to approving a legislator, where a couple people have interviews with the person and then they're brought before the body and we can ask questions, which we have. Student Congress has asked plenty of questions before and they're usually approved because you all do your due diligence. You bring us qualified candidates. That's why they usually pass pretty unanimously, because you all are good at doing your jobs. And honestly, the relationship between OUSC and SAFB has traditionally been pretty symbiotic. It is nice knowing that there's at least one other group who has our back, who's willing to work with us. We table for you, you table for us. Granted, at times, you help us out a little bit more than we help you, but we really appreciate it. It's really there is a lot of camaraderie here that I'm worried could be lost. I feel like also a lot of the SAFAC orgs are kind of disjointed as it is. I mean, frankly, I don't know anyone from Student Video Productions. I know a couple people from the Post and from the radio station, but that I know the entire board for the SAFB because we work together and we work in the same space. And I also think it'd be a little awkward if we don't move offices and we separate and be like, hey guys, sorry, I just gotta walk through your office to get to mine. Like it seems like logistically it'd be a little awkward, and honestly, the system as it exists now works pretty well and it's effective. And we've had a darn successful SAFB under our previous leadership with this current system, and I'm pretty in favor of it. Thank you, I yield. We also have 1 minute and 30 seconds left, sorry. Oh, actually, yeah, you.
I'm so sorry, but you guys are gallery members.
Am I?
Some context.
It's,
This thing.
then text Nia or something for her to.
Okay.
No, the Constitution says that gallery members can only.
On this?
I just wanna get some.
Could we?
Just text Nia.
Parliamentarian to rule on
Have her-
this? Could you check-
Or like run over there.
Is it yielding?
Just, we have to enforce the rules.
This.
So people are yielding.
This bill, I simply, I would be worried about how things would go forward with this bill, because, the relationship we currently have with SAFB, with, the friendships and, colleagueship and now between me and Gio, and just being able to stop by and talk with Ivy or talk with Charlie and everything. I really, and students coming in to talk with SAFB, I really get to see the process and get to see the issues they face and see the work they do and, their concern and how they operate, and having you guys around makes me, when you guys say you don't want to give up our percentage, it makes me want to vote to strike that from the other bill. Having you guys around makes me feel incredibly connected to you guys, and I can really see what's going on with you guys, and I feel great, friendship and colleagueship with SAFB. And for the betterment of OUC, I value you guys being so attached to us. I think you can improve us. Because we have been able to see how you work with students and see students to work with you guys. And I would implore people to consider that, like, it is not just us having oversight or us, bringing democratic procedure to the hiring of us as SHG. I think it's a very valuable relationship that benefits OUC and fantastic effort.
It's not in Robert's rules, it's in the Constitution.
It's not. It's.
No, the Constitution, if you look at gallery members.
Presented this bill.
Yeah.
You said that.
We're out of
isn't in.
We need an amendment to.
Second.
Okay, my question to the presenting this bill is, you say that, student Congress isn't able to provide accountability for SAFB's like day-to-day operations. But you also said that, day-to-day SAFB operations would become more efficient if they were separated. How does separation make day-to-day?
And I don't know. Other two points that made,
Like I said, I don't really understand where you guys kind of check us. But as far as like checks and balances, I don't see how that's balanced in a way that we don't really provide any oversight to USC. Also, I would like to make the point that, SAFB and OUC has not always had this relationship. In the past, there have been times where board members have been, board members have been pushed and pushed and pushed because administration or currents like at that time being, I guess too much on the agenda or like not on the best person SAFB. But I do want to say that as far as, separation and checks and balances, I do have a proposal made. It is not finalized by any means yet. However, we do have a system in place. Sorry, I said you were coming. Okay, however, we do have a, like I said, proposal in place that is called the SOF committee, I believe. And that will also help, well, like I said, with your concerns of checks and balances and oversight. They would, basically be taking the point of the judiciary chair and the research committee chair. And this committee would consist of, registered student organization presidents and treasurers, who the committee would, at the minimum, be consistent of 5 people. And that will also help with, like I said, they'll be able to do appeals and overrides. So if you're concerned about that, that is, you can join the committee for the checks and balances.
Chairperson Smith?
Hi, I kind of wanted to inquire how you would get members on said committee, because I know we, as a body, like for just General Assembly, we tend to have a lot of trouble to actually get like, club presidents to actually like want to attend those things. And I know, for just committees in general, especially OUSC, we have had a lot of trouble getting people to get on a committee. Like, I know personally as judiciary chair, I've had a lot of trouble getting people to join the judiciary committee, of course, which ethically oversees, SAFB. And we're paid to do that. Those people, from my understanding, wouldn't be getting paid. So
Yeah.
it just seems like a issue.
Yeah, and ways to incite people to be a part of this committee, and one of the ways that we had proposed to do this was by raising their like maximum budget, like how we do. So we have a system already in place for like if you do a certain number of volunteer hours, your maximum budget gets raised by a certain dollar. And so like we would try to be implementing that same logic here, where if you put in a certain number of meetings, you would also be raised, or your budget would get raised by a certain dollar amount. And I also know that these committee meetings, like I know free food is an enticer, and that is also one of the things. And me personally, I'm not as concerned as like getting committee members, just because people who like use our funds are already active on campus, and they're already like a part of like the general student body that's like participating and active. And so I feel like there would be a good number of people who want to be on this committee and to like know like what SAFB is, especially if they use our funds.
Legislator Mays? So I just had a good heart. Brother presenter of the bill, I have a question. So it's pretty much the same question I said before. Basically, what would be the benefits to get from separating from the USC as like the CFP?
Yeah, so like I said, so like I said, the pros of leading, like I said, we can improve our own budgets, we want to be able to improve our own hirings and improve our own bylaws. And, you know, we always come to the, I would say, issue of like, okay, new administration, there's possibly new problems, you know, there can be friction, like there has been in the past. I'm not saying it will be in the future, but it's always a possibility. And then there are some other things that if you want to read, like the proposal, like I said in here, there is an SAFB like actual proposal of like how it would look once we're separated. I can send that to you for sure, but it's like really long, so it would be done on our phone. I'd be more than happy to go over those with you.
The second, the follow-up for that would be for OUSC. Maybe it's just me as a new member, not really, member of this meeting. I actually see no problem with this. I think, just thinking from everyone else's like, perspective, it sounds like it's more of an emotional, well, sometimes it's more of an attachment thing. It's pretty, to me, it seems like SAFB pretty much do their own thing. They do their own little thing and we just approve the double on it. So I would like to ask OUSC, besides just keeping the way things are and being like, you know, maybe like SAFB's presence, what's another valid issue to keep SAFB?
President Garcia? Another, through enter legislator May's question really quickly. I think the biggest thing about this is just making sure that, you know, the distribution of funds is equitable for all students. And even with like the proposed committee that Nia has proposed, I think that you're gonna have a really hard time finding a representative group of people who will be able to give feedback, and make these decisions. Especially because I mean, just based from previous experience, because we're looking at, you know, real life here, like if we've looked at previous committees that we've been wanting to fill, when you're so desperate and no one wants to join these committees, especially even like paid committees, like because let's say the judiciary committee, or let's say, well, elections committee is not paid, but you know, it's hard to find people, and when you're desperate, you start finding just your close friends or just really overly enthusiastic people. And I don't think that's a representative sample, and I don't think that's gonna really hold SAFB accountable to the way that I think it should be. Also, although a lot of us have been becoming attached and everything like that, I think that the bigger picture at hand, when we're looking at what's at stake here, is making sure that we are putting the decision about how our funds should be distributed and how the processes should work, that should be put in the hands of students. 100%, because who better represents student interest than you know, a group of elected students, and you know, we have diverse opinions here. There's also another point that I wanted to make about leadership and between SAFB and OUSC, and how there might be some conflict there. I think as student leaders, we learn how to, I think disagreement is always important to have, and it's natural. And I think we're always gonna be able to, you know, as student leaders, go through with that. And I think that, I don't know, I'm seeing like the disadvantages. I mean, I think that the advantages of keeping SAFB and OUSC together are definitely much more important to the missions that the mission and the values that we have here at hand in Student Congress, which is to protect student interests.
You know, we are the only SAFAC organization that has here, like none other SAFAC organization does. And me personally, like I said, we can always agree to disagree on that, but I just don't see the necessity of it. And when you say equitable funding for all students, I don't think Student Congress even really has a say in that, because that's a part of day-to-day operations.
I mean, through like bylaw changes and making sure the process is more equitable.
We do have 30 seconds. Ben, once more.
Legislator DeVore.
Okay, first off, I would like to motion to extend debate by 5 minutes. Second, some questions for the presenter. So you mentioned this SOF committee. Who makes up this committee again? Sorry,
Yeah,
making sure.
So this committee will be consisting of presidents or treasurers who complete the financial.
So you have a committee that oversees you, that relies on you for funding, and you mentioned incentives for showing up to this committee to oversee you, right?
Well, it wouldn't be an overseer, but yes, that would be an incentive to show up.
But if they're checking, they're becoming the new system of checks and balances for you, as you said, so they are overseeing you.
Yes, but the way you have to post it is not, they would have their own autonomy to make decisions based on, so other students would be able to like present like overrides or present appeals. So it wouldn't necessarily be directly, you know, we're paying them to make decisions for us. We're paying them to make decisions for other students.
But they're still being, okay. So you're replacing your existing system of checks and balances, which is OUSC, with a checks and balances system that is both under you and relies on you for funding and receives incentives for showing up to that committee for you.
Yes.
I yield the floor.
Legislator Wolf.
I see some conflicts of interest, so these would be representatives of clubs who receive funding from you. And by participating within this committee, they will receive additional funding for their club.
Yes. Well, that's proposed, none of the and stuff with that.
But if that's potentially how it would be done, there is a great incentive for perhaps make rulings in all of your guys' favors
But like I said,
to continue to receive this extra funding for the works.
yeah, it would be going.
Because it would be on the half, if there was misconduct and this committee was supposed to determine whether or not misconduct had taken place. You are the hand that is giving them additional funding to their student goals that other student goals do not necessarily have access to or limited access to. Meanwhile, OUSC is a democratically elected body that has their own body that can investigate conduct within this body. You know, any legislator here is subject to the oversight of the judiciary committee and possibly a special court.
But on that same reasoning, you know, the judiciary committee is also paid by student congress.
But
And
we receive compensation. But we're democratically elected. And then we sort of receive our compensation regardless. You know, cause like what, and this committee, who would be determined to be on this committee? Would you have a referendum with the student body to elect this committee?
I mean, it wouldn't be an election, anyone who wants to be.
So you could appoint whoever you want.
It's not an appointment, but
How do you get onto this committee?
I mean, at that point, we haven't figured it out. But
If there is misconduct within this, if there is misconduct within this committee,
yeah,
that we're giving throwbacks to rule in your favor.
but the same can be said about OUSC, can it not?
But how, if we're not, we can't have any of your funding.
No, but I'm saying like, you know, if there's misconduct.
We have a judiciary committee, and potentially call, what's the portion? We can call a congressional court, and there's almost 38 members, I believe, in the Congress, or including an executive board.
Congressional court is outside people coming in.
It would be a qualified court, and not facing a. And this committee you're proposing is a committee chosen by SASB. Clubs that will see favorable like kickbacks. I don't see how this could work at all. This is, I think this shows that there's a lack of consideration of ethics to the democratic will of the student body. I yield.
I will say we have 30 seconds left, and also traditionally you have to be recognized for a follow-up. Like you know how you two were kind of going back and forth a little bit, usually you would have to be recognized to ask a follow-up question. You'd say like follow-up or something like that. But yeah, we have 15 seconds left if anyone wants to.
Counter motion to table. So we were,
It just passed.
Well, someone can,
No, I meant like we just seconded to extend it before the table motion. It seems like a lot of people still had.
With the original motion to extend by 5 minutes, and then after that, if there's a motion, well, once discussion's over, if there's motion to extend this.
I just have a question for the presenter. Can you explain the process by which and why Student Congress and SAB are closely tied? I know it's an institution, but do you know why it was originally that way and what has changed since then to make it so it's just self-sustaining?
I don't have that extensive knowledge of why it's like made that way, but I do think that, you know, within over the years, especially like my time here, I have felt that it is kind of arbitrary to have it be as a subcommittee or a committee of this thing. So like as it was, I know SPD was originally a committee of USC, and I think it was the same idea with SASB. So I think I'm not sure if you know.
I was just wondering because I feel like that's really important to acknowledge.
And then wait, just one more question. Do you have in like the provisions that you were talking about, like provisions to keep some ties with OUSC, just like not as many?
Well, yeah, so what we had was that, we would become a liaison for OUSC if we were to end up separating. And that would be basically kind of the co-chair committee to keep, you know, relationships and ties with everybody.
Director Lemon Pace.
A mysterious force has informed me that SAFB used to be SAFC, or Student Activities Funding Committee, until 2018, so until incredibly recent, or about then. Additionally, SPB used to be under Student Congress's wing until it was before that, but it was like until at least this century, you know? So there is precedent for other groups being under Student Congress's wing. And again, I know we throw around Student Congress casually. We are members of the student government of this university. You are all representatives to the government you are the government of this university's students. You were duly elected by the people, for the people, to represent the people. And it makes sense. This is essentially a government program. It's pretty autonomous from a lot of things that we do, but also having that symbiotic relationship is incredibly helpful. You know, you wouldn't cut the national parks loose because, well, you know, they do most things pretty independently. They're just our most popular program. You know, like there is value here in having that connection and ensuring, say, SAFB, I mean, God forbid you guys, your savings ran out and you didn't get the allocations you wanted, and Student Congress was in the position to help out. I have no doubt that we would. If we desperately needed the cash, you guys probably wouldn't have the resources to help out as much because I guess you do have a bigger allocation, but you're responsible for a lot more. Yeah, we could help you out. You know, that is what a student government, that is what the government is for, to help the students. And this is one of the most successful programs to help the students. This relationship has been beneficial for both parties. We table for each other, we commune with each other, we provide advice for each other. You know, it's not arbitrary, and historically, they were founded as one unit, as a division of the unit. It is a subcommittee for a reason. We offer a check and a balance to ensure that you're doing your job properly. And honestly, the reason it's kind of like how you see people being like, oh, well, we don't need the measles vaccine. Measles has been eradicated. And now people aren't giving their kid the measles vaccine, and we got the measles back. Oh, we don't need checks and balances on SAFB. There haven't been any problems. Yeah, because the checks and balances are doing their job. We're picking out good people. If we pick somebody bad out and there's no checks and balances, people aren't following the bylaws. You know, it's just the system is working as intended, and that doesn't mean we should throw away the system. I'm sorry, I've ate up like 5 minutes. Thank you, I yield.
Slater Waters.
Oh, okay. I would say that us being symbiotic, I mean, from your perspective, sure, but from our perspective, symbiotic has not always been helpful. Me, for example, when I was being, I think it had to be pushed back like 2 meetings, right? 2 or so meetings, because like I said in the past, like, okay, the current administration was having issues with us, and the current administration was having last thing on this agenda, and also I do want to thank Ben though, point about it being conflict of interest, because I didn't think about that, and that's definitely something that can be hacked out among our board members about other ways to go about, you know, enticing members. So I just appreciate that was really second.
Yeah, I just wanted, first off, I think Director Lemon Pace hit the money right there. I think that was very beautifully said. And also, I just want to also say that Legislator Wolf also hit the nail on the head. And the fact that it just seems like we're swapping one oversight with another, and that oversight is going to be chosen by you. And maybe this will be reconsidered, but that makes me very, 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 with all due respect, I am not finished speaking. It makes me very uncomfortable, so if this is, I would like that to be revised.
Yeah, and I see your point, and I just want to make it clear that these members are not chosen by us. This is not like someone like we're appointing people, like this is something that like anyone can do.
my question is.
Not, like, you have, like, our president, treasurer, does financial. Department, and you saw all the students.
Yeah. Like, is it just anybody goes up or is it like any like vetting or?
The point of information, within the bill, what we're voting on is the separation. We're here to approve the separation. Anything beyond that in terms of how SAFB would function does not have to be approved by the legislature. So whatever system gets set up is entirely dependent on what the SAFB board would approve. We are out of time for discussion. We still have some more stuff on the agenda, so I'm gonna go ahead. Advisor Miller? Point of information. We will try.
Oh, okay. Where are we missing? Can you just go through roll call?
Yes. All right, Speaker Johnson? Okay, Majority Leader Smith? Thank you. Chairperson Smith? Chairperson Valdez?
She's here.
Chairperson Markowitz? Parliamentarian Munger? Legislator Ali? Legislator Arnold is here. Legislator Childs, do not believe is with us.
I think YDSA co-chair is Legislator Child.
Geez, I didn't forget that. Legislator DeBoer, still here. Legislator Joswicki.
I think she just stepped out. Her laptop is there.
Okay. Legislator Ibeza, still here. Legislator Mays is. Legislator Mason. Legislator Mullins is still here. Legislator Bishop. Legislator Rosario is not here. Legislator. Oh, my apologies, Legislator Mason. Believe the rest of us are still here. We do have quorum. Okay, next up under new business, we have CB 6722. This is presented by President Garcia. President Garcia, you have the floor.
Okay, so we have our governance conference. We're gonna have 110 to 120 students from all over Michigan here to see us. Isn't that so great? They're gonna come here, we're gonna talk about student governance stuff. However, there's gonna be so many people and they're gonna be here all day, so we're gonna have to feed them. This is the bill to feed them. Do you want to feed students from all over Michigan? It's gonna be around $3,100, but I did $3,200 just to be extremely safe. It would come from uncategorized funds. We do have the space in the budget for it. That's all. Thank you. Are there any questions? Is there a second?
Second. Seconded by legislator.
Stay up there, isn't your bill next?
Yes. All right. Next up on the agenda is CB 6724. This is presented by President Garcia.
A system already going on where there's undergraduate camping out for people to rent out, and I think this is really important because a lot of people pay a whole lot of tuition and then they still have to pay for the camping when they graduate. They have plenty of undergraduate camping grounds, but they don't have a whole lot of master's camping grounds. So I thought since Student Congress has a lot of money, we can give some money. We should, and we have the duty to give money back to students. This is one way that this can happen so that people can avoid the high cost of, or at least we can't buy camping outs for the entirety graduating class, but this is to buy a few for the food pantry to have to rent out to graduate students. I allocated $900 from uncategorized funds. Legislative. I think the six cabinet accounts.
I thought nobody.
We'll give this a counter.
Nobody
Is
said
there any discussion?
Correct.
I was just gonna say, if nobody goes to discuss, we don't have to.
Yeah. So, hold on.
We are elected. You're right now, let's like show a little bit of disability. Take the time to go.
I completely agree with you. The only reason why I'm motioning is because I don't want to lose quorum. And I need these bills to go through, so that's the only way, but like extremely great points. Thank you for raising it. Yeah. Is there any other discussion at this time?
Great, seeing none,
These are awesome.
we will go ahead and move on. Next up on the agenda is CB 6725. This is presented by Director Richardson. You have the floor.
So unfortunately, I did not rush to my meeting because, as you all remember, back in, I think it was October or November of last year, last semester, I mentioned that the Congressional Records Committee is finally starting. We just begun, going over the Constitution and making the corrections that we thought were right and just, and we finally finished. So if I could get a quick round of applause for all my Congressional Record Committee members who finally completed the Constitution corrections going forward. Alrighty, so the bill CB 6725 just talks about what we did. Whereas the Oakland University Student Congress recognizes the necessity of updating and revising its governing documents to ensure maximum functionality of the University Student Congress. The Oakland University Student Congress remains dedicated to ensuring all public and governing documents are accessible to the student body as possible. Let it hereby amend that the members of the legislature and the executive board of the Oakland University Student. So, going forward with all the amendments, unfortunately, I do not wish to do that, so please pay attention. Amendment 1, so 1, amendment article 1, section A, subsection B, part 1, to strike 28 and replace it with 25. Any questions regarding that? Because I know that that might need some further. Legislator Wolf.
This is the amount of legislators, available for election. Correct?
Yes.
Correct. I believe that we have a pretty full legislature right now, and there's no like, how does this affect the election? Why are we just decreasing this?
So the members that are on the committee are all, like, you know, they're members that have been part or have a big, I shouldn't say a big, if you look at the Constitution as it states right now, the bylaws, the Congressional Record Committee members are not just like legislators who have stepped up and been like, hey, I want to be a member. No, this consists of like the president, speaker, the parliamentarian, the judiciary chair, our advisor is also welcome to join if she'd like. These are members who have state, like, they're higher ups within student congress. And we, as a group, not me because I'm just the chair, have decided that the amount of legislators that we put up and like try to fill spots every single year, like Marcus spoke, I wish he was here, I don't know if he still is. No, he is not, unfortunately. Speaker Johnson spoke about how difficult it can be to try to get legislators in. I mean, we still have spots open and it's election season, so like, it was just a process of like, you know what, we have 28 and that works, but you know, we need to make it a little more competitive. And you know, if there was a slight chance that more competition could elicit members to actually come forward and like not just say I'm part of student congress because I want to be part of student congress and there was for me. Instead, they come forward and like, I want to be part of student congress for a reason and I'm gonna be my spot. So
Oh, shoot, I had it.
Well, do you think this would improve like,
so
the
just start.
financial, sustainability of student congress by making it easier to move the
Discussion
the compensation clause?
We've been doing discussion. She's found
I do think when we had this conversation in the meeting that it was about like financial compensation. I think it was simply just, we want more involvement in terms of our legislature. It's not about like, Okay, if we cut the amount of legislative powers might go up, it's in our constitution that all legislatures, yours, get 5 hours, that's not gonna change. You will get a maximum of 5 regardless, if we add more or decrease, so.
So you're
it
looking
can-
to improve the quality of the power.
Yes, it's to improve the quality of members who are approved or elected into student government. Legislator DeBoer?
It's got like two separate points of inquiry, so, for starters, when was this made, like, change made? When was it increased to 28 legislator members? And, my second point is, have we ever actually reached that number since that change was made?
So I would love to yield the floor to.
December 2023,
There we go.
it was increased.
And have we ever hit that number of 28 cents?
No, we have not.
I thought we did like a couple times, just for
No,
like a
we-
week or two at a time.
23, we never hit 28.
So a slight pleasure of being election chair is that I have had legislators that Marcus actually turned to me, well, I should say, prospects who have turned to me and been like, hey, I know the election's starting, but I want to be legislator and I know you guys still have spots. So I think this year is a great example of like, we've been filling spots to fill spots, especially these last coming months. I'm very grateful for all the legislators that have joined, but we want it to be a more competitive space because we've had 25 in the past. And so 28 clearly, it's not needed as of now. The engagement student body just isn't that high, where like if we lowered it just a little more, we could have more engagement and real members that want to improve campus life.
That I yield.
Thank you. Director Lehman, please.
As the person who originally wrote the bill, it was you and me, right? We did the bill to bump it up to 28, or was it just?
Oh, no, it wasn't me.
Oh, was it just, okay. It was, and I couldn't remember if Andrew asked you and I, or just me to bump it up. Sorry, I was speaking with President Garcia, I couldn't remember if he was that. I was one of the people who originally bumped it up to 28, and I do want to provide some historical context. It did really make sense at the time. We were hitting 23 a lot, and we were consistent. We could routinely have like 4 or 5 extra people who were like, man, I'd really like to be involved in student congress. Wow, I'd love to be in student congress. Wow, it'd be so fun to be in student congress. We had a lot of people saying that sort of thing. So it did make sense at the time. I'm actually neutral on bumping it down to 25. Some of the arguments here have been convincing, but I worry that if the board of trustees sees us, changing the number a lot without being like, oh yeah, we think we finally found one that works for us, it could look bad. But my question, I guess, is, could we also, would potentially, if the numbers go down and the budget numbers look right, would this be a pathway to bump the wage up from 15 to like 15.50 or something? Because historically, student congress has been one of the better paying orgs on campus. Right now, we're on par with minimum wage. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Definitely a conversation going forward. If they, the next administration that follows after that, it still will go up. And of course, in the election as a referendum, and if voted upon by the student body, then I believe that will be up to the next president and the next legislative body will go forward to enact these rules. So it's just follow the constitution, so.
Oh, so.
Yeah, we'll see.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, we have to.
Well, with Bill Haley.
So, hey.
Fantastic, because this needs to be written. This is.
Form
very
is submit,
important for
yes.
I will spot. Would you be, because we asked if she's amenable to.
Would you be amenable to maybe reading a couple of them instead of like reading one, doing comments after, just in interest of time?
I could be, but I want to stress that this is very, very important, so I'm not gonna speed run through everything.
Oh, of course, I'm not trying to, and honestly, this is the kind of thing that I think would maybe benefit from reread instead of passing out to the second.
To be up for election.
Oh.
Yeah, you only remove it to.
I have a suggestion. What if you read through the whole thing, and we can get questions, during the week, break. Right in between, just to make sure so we get our first reading, but if you could read through the whole bill, that would be.
You could read through the bill, if the pressing question, please. Be on the meeting. Okay, so moving forward, 2, create part 2 under Article 1, Section A, subsection B, that reads Speaker of the Legislature. That's just adding Speaker Johnson's position into the Constitution because it wasn't.
3, insert the following text as a subsection below Article 1, Section A, subsection B, Part 2. A, appointment. The legislature may elect a speaker of the legislature from their membership for the duration of the administration. To the following. 1, the speaker must have served as a legislator for at least 1 semester preceding their nomination, unless there are no such candidates available. 2, nominations for speaker must be made or accepted within the first 3 regularly scheduled general body meetings of the administration. 1, maybe one legislator is nominated, they may be voted by who and will require a simple majority. 2, in the event that 2 or more legislators are nominated, the position of speaker shall be given to the legislator with the most votes after a secret ballot vote. In the event that the speaker position becomes vacant, either due to resignation or removal, the legislature must elect a new speaker to fill the remainder of the term in the next regularly scheduled general body meeting. Responsibilities, if I can get a scroll. Thank you. The speaker is a liaison between the legislative branch and the executive branch as a representative of the legislature. The speaker must attend at least 2 executive board meetings per month to discuss the legislature's process on legislative projects and initiatives, as well as receive information on the executive board process on executive board projects and initiatives. Shall I continue reading, because the whole section is just about speaking of the legislature? I will continue.
I will say that this entire thing is exactly copy and paste from the bylaws, the speaker description.
Thank you.
Legislators do your job and read it.
This is not a new section, it's already in the bylaws, it wasn't in the constitution. Okay, we're gonna keep scrolling, the site that I talked about, okay, so. Yeah, I think we can start at 4. 4, Strike Student Service Committee, SSC, Affairs Committee, CAC, and Scholarship Committee from the list of Section B, subsection Part A. Strike SSC and CAC from Article Section B, subsection 8, Part 2, number 1. Basically, what this means is that we're not going to make them required committees. Plus, these are committees that we haven't used, as far as I know, used in a pretty long time. They could come back up again. It's just not required of the administration to fill those committees or make those committees for that administration. 5, amend Article 1, Section C, subsection A, Part 1 to read each semester instead of again, this is the language rules. President Garcia?
I do remember what that was for, because if not, I can clarify what each semester means.
It's good.
Yeah, so basically all that is regarding like the amount of excused absences that you can have. Before it was 3 per term, and this would change it for 3 per each semester. Which is the way that Judiciary Chair does it currently.
All right, moving forward, subsection C, subsection A, Part 1, number 1 to replace shall with may. 7, amend Article 2, Section A, subsection A, Part 1 to add and 1 speaker of the legislature to the list of student body vice president. After student body vice president. Again, this was just adding the speaker of the legislature into the list of positions.
I think this is oh, this is I remember exactly where this is from. So this is when it's listing which positions are elected by the student body. Before it said, with regards to the executive branch, before it said president and vice president, this is just adding speakers because we elect a speaker.
Strike financial affairs director, student service director, legislative affairs director, diversity and inclusion director, section A, subsection A, 2. This does not mean that we are going to completely get rid of these directors. It's to strike them from the Constitution solely because it's like the committees, they're not required. This won't be a requirement. Of course, they can be filled and they will be filled by the administration if they choose to do so. A, replace administrative assistant with director of internal affairs. Guys, I wasn't in the Constitution. I think we should change that. Okay. It's just a simply name thing. Administrative assistant has outdated. We haven't used that name in a very long time. Amend amend Article 2, Section E, subsection, and replace it with steering chair with Speaker of the Legislature. So this section basically, so in lines of succession, if the president is not allowed, not able to attend, and then the vice president is not able to attend, there needs to be like, there's a weird chance that they get absolutely ousted from student congress in some weird way. The person that was supposed to be in like third for the line of
Succession.
secession, as I said 1,000 times already, was the steering chair. We have decided to change that, and it is now the Speaker of the Legislature, because that makes the most sense. They run in a slate together. The steering chair is chosen by the legislature after the administration. So it just makes sense that if you're gonna run for that position or be elected for that position or approved by the new administration, you might as well just be in line for that as well. Okay, 10, amend Article 3, Section D, subsection B, Part 2, Number 2 to add, but the committee continues to debate until consensus can be found via a vote after a tie vote fails. This had to do with the judiciary section. Can I actually take it to Chairperson Smith to talk about this section? Since it is her section? And she would have much better explanation.
So, for the reason why I want to add in the part where a tie vote failed on the judiciary committee and then repeat that in congressional court is the fact
You can
that
change that word.
for a long time, the judiciary committee only had like 4 members, so tied were possible. I think it's 5 members because like people don't want ties, and that's good. But that wasn't achievable. So I really didn't want to make the possibility of something being discussed and then like a tie vote happening and then, oh, failure, we just don't come to a decision on that. That's dumb. So this would make it so we tie vote, we continue discussing, and we come to a consensus eventually. If we don't, then we sit there and debate. I believe it's the judiciary and congressional court's due diligence to actually come to a conclusion. So yeah, that's the purpose of that. Thank you.
Continuing forward, 11 talked about pretty much the same thing, just the opposite was going to happen. Amend Article 3, Section E, subsection B, Part 2 to add, but if the committee continues to debate until a consensus can be found via a vote after a tie vote fails. Well, amend Article 3, Section E, subsection C, Part 3, Number 5 to add, but the committee continues to debate until a consensus can be a vote after a tie vote fails. I believe it's the same thing again. 13, amend Article Section A, subsection C to add Part 1 that reads, in such circumstances, the voting member will be ineligible to vote for the duration of that meeting. We've had issues in the past with legislators arriving late or just members in general arriving late to GBM. This talks about if you are late after a certain amount of time, you will not be able to vote in the GBM because that doesn't make sense. So yeah. Unless you fill out an absence report, which even if you do, there's more stuff in the Constitution that talks about that. And then finally, lastly, 14, amend Article 4, Section B, subsection B, Part 1 to replace steering chair with Speaker of the Legislature. Again, Speaker of the Legislature just coming before Speaker, steering chair as it would just make sense in terms of succession. I will then yield to the floor. Any questions?
We get scrolls. Is this referencing point 13?
So it is. It'll be right. It's the speaker.
Yeah, it's already there. No, you're good. I'm fine.
Okay. Any other questions or points of discussion? Move on. Legislator Wolf?
You gotta wait for the microphone because no one's gonna hear you online.
Yeah.
This is in general context within our political society in this country, within our actual national legislature. Like, I know that congressmen and senators at any point for, you know, at any time. And I'm wondering if this might be like a little bit like out of the sphere of like, Robert's rules and just general like congressional procedure?
Well, our parliamentarian is invited to join the Congressional Records Committee, and as far as we know, we hope that she reviewed this because she wasn't able to attend some meetings, but we can definitely get a Robert's Rules check, but as far as we know, this is not violating anything that we've established in the past. I mean, yes.
Personally, this does not bother me, but I just want to make sure we're in compliance with our political culture and certain political like, rules.
Yeah, I encourage you to talk to our parliamentarian, but you know, we've had problems with quorum in the past and it's becoming an issue of like people believing they can show up late without filling out an absence form and they come, be asked for quorum halfway through a meeting. It's inexcusable when we have conversations like this that are very, very important and we need legislators to be present for those conversations. Thank you. Director Lehman Pace.
I did also want to say, if there is a conflict between the Constitution or bylaws and the Robert's Rules, the Constitution and the bylaws take precedent every time. We follow Robert's Rules unless it's like, unless it runs counter to something. But I did want to say, I guess that one that one I'm a little concerned about just because I do think, I mean, right now, if we had somebody who missed the meeting before show up and helped us save quorum if someone else had to leave, I would be, I don't know, that's the one change that I think that could maybe warrant some discussion during the middle. I don't know why I'm still talking because honestly, I could just talk to you after this, which I encourage legislators to do.
I would be happy to discuss the parliamentary procedure with you, Legislator Wolf. And I agree, or you should definitely have quorum with important legislation like this. And the fact that we're missing so many legislators right now, that shouldn't be happening.
Especially on top of constitutional changes.
Also, in regards to that, just as a point of information, and I'm 99% sure on this, but I believe that the amendment was in an effort to clarify the wording of the Constitution as it was. I don't have it pulled up in front of me.
Yes, please, everyone go check the Constitution and I know it's hard to apply the changes that we've made, but if you can. Do it.
Yeah, I really just wanted to say this and not take up too much time because it's also kind of unrelated, and I'm sorry for that. But I wanted to echo parliamentarian Munger's point of it's gotta be really disappointing that we have so many legislators not here right now. I remember last term, about this time last year, we went from 5 to 9 and nearly nobody left. I mean, this is, compared to that, this is terrible. But then again.
Okay, any other questions or points of discussion before we move on? All right, seeing none, thank you, Director Richardson. All right. Next up on the agenda, we have CB 6727. This is presented by Chairperson Smith. Have the floor.
We can strike it out.
All right, y'all, this is a very simple bill, very short bill even. So this is to essentially, I'll essentially give more of the whereas before I explain what it does. This is to give more money from our unallocated funds to the GSC/Sage drag show. We already have $500 allocated, where I want to allocate $1,000 more because we have the money, we have plenty of money. Historically, we've helped them just about on and off every year since about 2014. The records are a bit iffy, but the current Sage president has a fairly accurate record. This will make the total amount we are contributing to the drag show less than we have historically done. Pre-COVID, we used to give around $2,500 to $3,000 per year to the drag show, but since COVID, it's been a lot lower. And I wanted to raise it more, but the Sage president was like, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. So yeah, massive event. We always support the LGBTQ plus community, all of its organizations. This is just another way of doing that.
Thanks.
I was just going to say, I don't want members of the body to think that the show is going without funding. There is now a robust network of other clubs that are putting money towards it. So it's not like they've had to scrounge it up elsewhere. Like I know there's clubs that didn't exist pre-COVID that are giving money to. So don't worry about that.
Correct. I wanted to, I echo that sentiment, and also, if I remember right, the president of Sage said that it's gonna cost around $9,000 total this year. And we're essentially, this is covering a lot of just like general equipment.
Thank you. I just want to say that I think this is a very good use of our money, especially when it seems the climate is not very friendly to people that are in the LGBT plus community, which includes myself at this point. But I think this is a very good use of our money, and I am very supportive of this. That is the point.
Legislator Wolf? In spirit of encouraging, like, you know, like involvement within other student boards and our presence here within the, you know, the open community. You think of the, that, I know in the past, I think there's been like seats allocated for, student congress to attend. Is that going to be?
As a current member, there will be. We'll have some.
Thank you, and I hope.
All sponsors get seats.
Well, okay.
It's gonna be.
Okay, any other questions or points of discussion before we move on? Great, seeing none, thank you very much, Chairperson Smith. All right. Moving on, next up, we'll move to old business. First up under old business is CB 6720. This is presented by Chairperson Matthews. You have the floor.
We do. We have 14 members present, and we have 24 legislators in total, so technically we do, unless Lance leaves right now.
Lance is on the call.
Okay,
We have two bills in.
I mean, I don't think the next two bills are time sensitive unless,
I would.
correct me if I'm wrong. If
Kinda is, but.
Okay,
I'm only counting 12.
1, 2, no, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3,
Let's just do it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
One online. 12.
12.
We do not have quorum. No.
How is it on the? Hold on.
Are you counting Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's 11 in the room. We have one online. That's 12. We have to have 13 to have quorum.
Everybody
We have
call
lost
all the
quorum.
student congress people you know.
I don't.
What the hell's Marcus doing? He can call for 2 seconds. He's the speaker.
I think we have to wait, like, I think like,
But
just give it a few minutes to see if we can get quorum.
Would anyone?
Can I get a
want the motion for?
Recess?
I don't think we can motion if we don't have enough voting members.
Well, I think a substantive motion, I think is fine. You don't need a quorum for a substantive.
Okay,
Or a procedural motions, I think are.
okay, let's start. Just leave us suspending the rules.
Okay, we're gonna suspend the rules for a moment while we get legislators and committee members back. Legislator DeVore? Thank you. I mean.
What was that?
Motion of personal privilege? Just kidding. If everybody could kindly text somebody in student congress they know and ask them to hop on the Zoom, that would be awesome.
He can. I'm texting Marcus. He can go in the hall for 10 minutes.
Wait, don't we have? Okay, look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Lance, 10, 11, 12.
We need 13.
I make an announcement? Sure.
So when was the last time we had?
Right before.
Before we got to this vote.
Make a quick announcement, because I'm tired of losing quorum, and I need to address like every single one of you in this room right now. Okay. Bro.
Let's get.
We just need somebody to hop on the Zoom for 10 minutes, just so we can vote on these bills.
Who knows? Let's get his first meeting. His first meeting is this one. Godric comes in clutch.
So, hey, this is actually thing, so please let me know. I'm being so serious. Okay, cool. So. Declaring candidacy is over. I wanted to say that first. Declaring candidacy is over. If you didn't put your name, declaring the candidacy form, you're done. My name, see you. You can be rated if you want, but we'll talk about that later. Otherwise, that if by some chance you declare candidacy and you somehow, well, since anyone who declared candidacy, I don't know who that is, got an email from me. That email consists of next steps. I need person to please read that, because there is a form that you need to fill out for orientation. There are 3 orientation dates. There's one on Wednesday from 10 to 12 in Lake Huron room. Okay, that's gonna be in person. There is a virtual option on Thursday from 10 to 2. The reason I want you all to fill out that form is if you need the virtual option, I will send you a Google link. If you do not fill out the form and say, well, I have Thursday, not my problem. See you form. Okay, I disappear then, bye.
Okay. Anyways, back to it. Chairperson Matthews, you have the floor.
This last week, this is just a matter of, like I said, changing now, GOC. This bill is enough. Even the soft station, so we have the board. Oh, and historically, the chairperson has had. But because of years of international student status, she has only been enrolled to 20.
Is there any questions or comments on the bill? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move to a vote. Chairperson Smith. Legislator DeBoer. Legislator Waters. Chairperson Valdez. Chairperson Markowitz.
Yay.
Parliamentarian Lunger.
Yay.
Legislator Childs.
Yay.
Legislator Driswicki. Legislator Iveza.
Wait, we would lose quorum if you abstain.
Yes.
You gotta.
Legislator Iveza. Legislator Mason.
Yay.
Legislator Prishandaro. Legislator Wiegand. Legislator Wolf. Alrighty, with that, CB 6720 has been passed. Next up on the agenda, your old business, we will do CB 6721. This is presented by Director Lyman Pace. You have the floor.
Scroll down to the action items. We're paying for the OUJ, the Capitol buses. We're buying a pride flag and the Michigan flag for the office. The Michigan flag is going to be flown on the last day of the term. They let you buy ones that are flown over the state capitol. We're renaming the AAUP labor event. We're putting money towards a giveaway, and we're giving Taylor a well-deserved extra hour a week Because the wonderful elections chair is doing way too much, and the hour will at least make sure she's paid for more of her efforts. Any questions, comments, or concerns? No, thank you. Just enjoy my omnibus bill and please vote for it. I would really appreciate it.
Legislator DeVore?
Just a quick question, just because it came up when we were doing a SAFB bill previously last semester. There being a bylaw about how the maximum amount of hours we could work. Is there a limit in the bylaws on how many hours the director of affairs can work currently, or is this just crazy?
As long as they're not going over like part-time hours, like that's just an OU policy. As long as they're not going over the 24 hours a week, 25 hours a week, then there's no issue.
Legislators, there have been some historical caps, like the speaker used to only get 10, but we bumped it up because the speaker's got more duties. Yeah, the only hard limit is legislators at 5. The rest are at the discretion of the president. What is the judiciary chair? Chairperson's at 10. Yeah.
That's my question. I have the floor.
All right, any other questions or comments at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Let's see.
We could get a.
Legislator Mays, are you present or present and voting? Legislator Mays? Present, thank you. All right, Chairperson Smith. Legislator DeVore. Legislator Waters. Chairperson Valdez. Chairperson Markowitz.
Present.
How would you like to vote on CB 6751?
My bad. Yay.
Oh, good, thank you. Parliamentarian Lunger. Legislator Childs.
Yay.
Legislator Jezwicki. Legislator Ibeza stepped out. Legislator Mays. See and abstain in the chat.
We don't lose quorum yet.
Legislator Mason.
Yay.
Legislator Prashandaro. Legislator Wiegand.
Can I say something?
Yes.
If people, if the legislators are against this bill, completely understandable, but I would recommend you vote nay rather than abstain because we could lose quorum. Just a thought, obviously I can't force you guys to vote one way or another, it's completely up to you.
Also, we have made an obligation to OU Day at the Capitol, and if we don't fund the buses, that makes us look horrible, makes us look real shitty.
Legislator Ibeza.
Yeah, we committed to sending money to OU Day at the Capitol, to get a bus for it. And this just makes sure that the price that we have listed is accurate. Additionally, we are buying a Michigan flag for the office, like the state flag that's going to be flown over the state capitol on the last day of the term, get a little patriotic. We also have committed money to the AAUP labor event. We're just renaming that. We're doing giveaways, to, give stuff to the student body. And then we also are giving Taylor another hour so that she can, or Director Richardson another hour so that she can properly execute her election duties.
Legislator DeVore.
Just a point of inquiry, we're allowed to discuss during the voice vote of the bill, because I feel like there was multiple points of discussion raised during the vote, and I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Repeat that question?
Can we have discussion in the midst of a voice of?
Yeah, yes, I believe you can.
Legislator DeWarke.
There were also multiple points of inquiry raised without the recognition of the chair. Is that allowed as well?
Parliamentarian Munger.
I believe so. I believe we are following Robert's rules. We can't have discussion during a voice vote. I think we're doing everything correct.
Is there any other inquiries about CB 6721? Legislator Wolf.
A point of information for the money to get the buses, this is a lot of bang for your buck. This one, remember the number of seats that this will.
Well, the number is actually high bylaws. This is just amending it.
Seats on the bus.
It's 54 people were able to activate this, which is incredibly important. Yeah.
Okay, any other inquiries about the bill before to a vote? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and resume the vote.
Oh, wait, could you two wait like 2 seconds? Oh, this is okay. Oh, really?
Legislator Iveza,
You've got to wait till,
how would you like to vote on the bill?
wait, can you stay till the
You have to
closes?
stay
Sorry, like,
for the vote.
like 3 minutes. Oh, Adrian.
Legislator Wiegand.
Go get him.
Legislator Wolf. Well,
Count the amount of votes that we have. There aren't abstentions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 votes, no?
okay, we have 13 votes. Quorum is 13. Given that,
No, we have 12 votes.
no. So with that, the bill would not pass as is.
No, it's not that the bill wouldn't pass, we just don't need quorum.
Yeah.
It's not that, it's not, it just doesn't pass, nor it. Would any voting member like to change their vote? If not, we just won't vote on this bill today.
There's nothing.
Legislator Wiegand just said yeah.
Legislator Wiegand would like to change his vote to yay. Given that we would meet quorum and CB 6721 has been passed. by the legislature.
Thank you for helping Taylor do her job.
Okay,
No, it's not the capital.
Well, yeah.
next up on the
Okay.
agenda, we have
Just as-
discussion. Given that there is nothing under discussion, we will go ahead and move on to legislative updates. President Garcia.
I'm motioning to adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by legislator Prishandara. We adjourn the meeting at 7:37.
Please check your emails and fill out the form.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for being online.